Hello, this is Gary.
Hey, Michael Sweet here. How are you?
Good, Michael. How's it going?
Good, good, good.
That's good.
Sorry I'm a few minutes late.
Hey, you're good. I'm just glad to hear from you. I know. How's your dad doing?
He's doing good. He's doing better, you know.
That's
We're
good.
all still waiting to see what happens. We're not sure at the moment, but definitely doing better.
That's good. I've been praying. I know.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Really do.
Yeah, I understand. My dad been through a lot this past year, well, a few years, and your dad's everything. So
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
I know, man.
Um.
I know.
Well, the last time I talked to you, I think you were moving. and you and you had a lot of moving people. You kept getting interrupted and stuff. And you
Yeah,
remember
and
that?
it's funny because we're moving. We're moving. My daughter's moving today. There are movers here in a moving truck here right now.
Oh wow, there's something about the movers.
It's crazy. We've been in an apartment, Lena, my daughter's apartment, for a year, and we moved in September of last year when you and I talked,
Right.
and moved in with her. Well, we were traveling in an RV, and then when we got back from Florida in November, we moved in with her. And then I had the eye surgeries and whatnot, and we've been here for a year almost. And she's moving out today into a new house they bought, and we're moving out in 2 weeks into a new house that we built.
All right.
So it's just a lot of moving, and life has been crazy the past year. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to talk about all that. But the new album, "The Final Battle," is coming out next Friday, right? That's going to be cool.
It is coming out next Friday, which is crazy,
Awesome.
and we're super excited about it. Um, and can't wait for people to hear it. As a whole, instead of just a few songs and a few
Yeah.
videos. It's going to be nice for people to hear the whole album.
Well, I remember last time when I was talking to you, and you're saying that album was the best album that you've done. Will you say that about this album? Or can you say that about every album that you do? I mean,
Well, I only say it if I mean it.
yeah,
There's a few albums in the past I haven't said that about, but um, because I had reservations about it, whatnot. But this album and the past few albums, I've said it's our best, and I really feel and believe that.
right,
I think that we're improving our craft. We're getting better at the process of recording and writing.
right,
And I really think that this album turned out extra special good. And, the only way to know is when it comes out and see if the fans and the critics agree.
yeah, right,
So far, the critics, we've gotten some great reviews, and some critics have said the same thing I've said,
right,
which puts a big smile on my face. It makes me realize, like, okay, maybe I'm not just dreaming this, but I do think it's our best for a number of reasons. It's just got the energy, it's got the flow, it's got a perfect eclectic mix that works, and I just love the spirit of the album.
right. Or so far, I mean, I've been jamming to the songs, as they come out. I'm thinking, because last time I said, how do you top that album? And it's like, wow, I guess this is how you come out with these songs. And so after the last album, how do you go into approach a new album? How do you set that up, and what's on your mind about this album?
I approach it the same as any other album. I always just go into it with the thinking that I want to outdo the last, and I just let it all flow out. I don't sit down and plan it out um, ever.
Right,
I just go in my studio and start writing. Riffs come, grooves come, and then once that happens, the song is complete 2 or 3, 4 hours later. And then the next day repeats itself. And there's 11 songs, 12 songs, that's it.
right,
And then it gets sent to the guys and they learn it. But it's the same process pretty much for every album. It doesn't change. Um, I don't sit down and plan out, okay, what am I going to do for this album? I'm going to try this. I'm going to experiment here and change it up there. I don't think like that.
right.
I never really have, and especially these days, I don't at all. So it's a spontaneous thing, 100%.
And as far as the the titles and the subjects of each song, I mean, how does that come to you? And I know a lot of them, you can pull right out of scripture. I mean, so how does that come? How do you make that into a song, and How does that come together for you?
Well, it is often pulled out of scripture. I go to the word often for many songs. But it's also life experience, things that I've gone through, things that I've seen firsthand, things that I've experienced, or other people in my life have experienced. That's where a lot of the inspiration comes from lyrically. Musically, it's just there's always a song in my head. That inspiration is always there, day in and day out. Sometimes I dream about the songs. I wake up with the melody. Sometimes I pick up a guitar and there's a riff that comes out instantaneously, and then a song is birthed and formed from that within an hour.
Wow.
It's different, It's I'm really made. God made me in a unique way in the sense that uh, a song is such a part of my life and within my head so deeply that I've said this before. It's a burden and a blessing.
Yeah.
Because the burden part of it is that it takes away from other things I should be focusing on. The blessing is that it's never an issue when it's time to write an album. There's always a song there.
Right. And like you said, the album's coming out next week, and you just got off the road, right?
Just got off the road. We did a 2 week run, 5 dates in Texas and Wichita, and then we went to Costa Rica,
Awesome.
San Jose, and performed. And then we went to Bogota, Colombia, and performed.
How was that? That was a great
Amazing,
time, huh?
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, first time there, and just really amazing. I'm going to go back and do a solo tour there eventually. South American solo tour is something I want to do and have wanted to do for a long time. So I'll be returning hopefully maybe next year. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, I know the fans will be happy to see you come back.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
And the album, like I said, the song's awesome. Got a new song out. Just released, I guess, a week ago. Same old story, and a video, right?
That's right. Yep, same old story. Very mid-tempo kind of song. It's got a little more melody to it than Transgressor has. A little more melodic. It's got a good mix of the old with the new.
And so, what's the story behind that song? Same old story.
Well, it's just about how people say they're going to change and they don't. Times say they're going to change and they don't. Just the same old story. Same old repetitive thing where you say one thing and you do another. And I feel like that's the problem with this world is we talk a lot but we don't do a lot.
Right. No.
And it's just the same old story. you
Right.
know
It's a cycle that keeps going. You got to break the cycle. That's right.
exactly. And we need to start doing and stop talking. And obviously I'm also referring to our walk with God, our relationship
Sure.
with God. Start representing God more on
Sure.
a daily basis instead of talking the talk. People are so quick to send out scriptures and text messages and biblical quotes and all that kind of stuff, and it's all talk until you put actions behind it.
That's true. So true.
Or if your actions don't line up with that, it's just null and void.
That's right. Anybody can post a
Yeah.
scripture or talk about it, yeah, but doing it is a different thing. And I try not to ever be that guy, guilty of that because and if somebody says to pray, I pray right then. I don't just talk, I do it, like your dad,
Oh
for
yeah.
instance. When I saw that your dad was, having some issues, I prayed right then, and you do what you say you're gonna do, that's just how it should be.
Exactly. And there are a lot of people out there that do that. But the ones that I'm referring to are those that there's a few people I know, and again, I'm guilty of it too, but I try not to be that way.
Sure.
There's a few people that I know where their actions just don't line up with their words. They're always sending scriptures, and I'm just thinking, well, God, that just doesn't line up with what you're really doing and who you really are, you
Yeah.
know? And it just comes across as hypocrisy. It is hypocrisy.
That's, and I don't think people realize that, like you said, everybody's guilty to a degree at some
Oh,
point.
yeah.
And it's like when you notice it's wrong, you fix it,
Yep.
right? And at least you have somebody out there that can say, hey, you're not kind of lining up with what you're saying here. Okay.
Exactly.
No
And that's why for
offense.
me, what I do is I'm really careful about how many scriptures I'm sending out or what I'm posting. Before you post a scripture or you post a message from the Bible and you're telling people what they should do, you got to kind of take a step back and say, well, am I doing it?
That's right.
Can I speak from the heart as a representative of what I'm saying, or am I hypocritical by posting this? I try to step back, and that's why a lot of times I don't post scriptures
Right.
because if I did, I'd feel like a hypocrite, and I'm not the guy to be posting it on that particular day. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah, I totally understand that. Um, and that's in these days, there's people watching you and ready to
Yeah.
attack. Everything
Oh
you say
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Are you still having issues? I know you had some last time. People commenting on your social media and trying to stir up things. How do you respond to all that, and how do you stay calm sometimes?
Well, I try not to read into it too much. I take care of all my social pages, Michael Sweet pages. So there isn't a management company posting for me, like most artists.
Right.
And it's you get what you get with me, and I'm a very open-minded guy. I'm a very I voice my opinion, very opinionated, and a very open book. And with that, when you're an honest person like that, and you speak your mind. A lot of people don't like it, so you're going to get the negative response sometimes, and I get that. But I've just learned to kind of rise above. If I read something negative, I try to just move on and rise above it and realize it's just words. Sometimes it gets me though.
Right.
Sometimes I'll read something. I'll put my foot my feet on the ground. I'll have my first cup of coffee, and I'll read something, and it sets the tone for the day.
Yeah.
And that's shame on me for letting it get the best of me. But sometimes what people say does, and that's the unfortunate thing about the internet is people can go and say whatever they want. They don't think about what they say.
Right. And
They
it
just type away and say whatever
sure.
they want, and sometimes it's pretty hurtful and just not nice.
It's damaging. I mean, sometimes the stuff you say sticks with people. It's like a knife wound. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
cuts you, and then even though you can say I'm sorry, it's still that hurt there. You got to think. People need to think about what they say, and
100%,
oh man,
100%.
and well, so the video though for the new song, the same old song. I mean, same old story. Um, how fun was that to make? I mean, I know you've been through a lot of stuff, and it's pretty cool to see y'all jamming and everything together. How do y'all go about doing that?
Well, the biggest bummer for me and negative, I should say, is I can't move too much. I used to be if you ever saw me with Boston or back in the day, I was always moving around, dancing around, whipping my head around,
Yeah.
lots of energy, and that's who I am. I can't do that anymore. I got to be really careful how much I move, and that bums me out because I want to go out there and move and do my thing, and I can't. And I'm stuck at the microphone, and I see everyone else moving around, running around, having a gay old time, and I'm just kind of stuck there, and it's a little bit of a bummer for me. But I hope fans understand, and maybe someday I can be myself again on stage once my eye completely heals up, and I can just get out there and do it. But that's the biggest downfall for me and hurdle to overcome is the fact that I just can't perform at the best of my ability yet.
Right. But it probably makes you realize the things you maybe took for granted, or maybe
Oh yeah,
right? Some
yeah,
things like that,
totally.
right? And
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my plane's messed up from something so simple as an eye surgery, and it's like three eye surgeries. A lot of times when I turn to the right real fast and I turn back to the left to look at my guitar neck, I see two guitar necks, and
oh wow,
I screw up the solo
oh wow,
because I don't know where I am on the neck, and just all kinds of little things like that I'm really having a tough time with, and it's really affected my performance a lot, and I'm doing my best to overcome it, um, and I'll get there,
yeah,
you know.
wow. Well, that can be an inspiration for people that are going through a hard time or some issues. You do the best you can, regardless of what shape you're in. I mean, I
Exactly.
mean, you're doing an awesome job. I mean, I haven't noticed any, differences, but I know that um, right?
Well, I'm glad for the most part people don't notice, but even if they do, I understand. I mean, I notice, when I go back and watch videos, I can see like, oh man, I'm just struggling more on stage and having a tough time getting through, uh, moving, putting on a performance, and playing guitar. Those are the two things that are kicking my butt
Right.
lately.
Or does that enter your mind? And I know, a lot of times, you see these singers, and I think you've touched on it in the past about different singers that you think probably need to hang up their hat, and call it quits. Does that go through your mind that maybe one day it's creeping up on me?
No, not yet. The good thing with me, a positive for me is I don't just sing
That's right.
and I don't just play.
Right.
I'm a singer and a guitar player. So if for some reason I have trouble playing, I could always sing. If for some reason I have trouble singing, I could always play. And I think in that regard, I'm very blessed that I can do multiple things and not just one thing. But I- I'm I'm not talking or thinking that way yet at all.
Good.
I refuse to think like that because once you start going down that path, that can open the door to depression and just not believing in yourself and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not even going to go there.
That's a great thing. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Well, I know that does affect things in your life, and I know it's probably been hard for everybody around you. How does the band deal with some of the issues? I know Oz had some issues too, right?
I've had some issues too with surgeries, and he really came out of those surgeries in a better place than most people do that go through the same surgeries. So he's pretty much, from what I can see and experience with Oz, it's pretty much the same Oz that I've always seen and known. I know he gets a little tired and lethargic from certain meds that he's taking, but for the most part, it didn't affect his playing ability at all. He plays like he always has, or at least so it seems to me. So he's in a good place, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, that's and like I said before, it's really encouraging. I'm sure for fans or people, talking about talking the talk and not giving up. Doing what you're called to do and being faced with all these trials, right, and still
Oh
being
yeah,
able to accomplish, and play these awesome shows and have a new album out, and just fans love you. How cool is it to have fans like Stryper fans?
it's amazing, and we never ever want to take that for granted because when you don't have that, you're done. The fans make the train roll down the tracks, man, and without them, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to sell albums. You're not going to sell tickets, and the fans make it roll. And we're so blessed to have a really strong core following and fan base, and we always have, and we're very blessed by that. And we never take that for granted ever. The fans are everything. We always want to acknowledge them and let them know how much we love them and appreciate their support for almost 40 years. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a long time to be in a group.
Yeah,
how, how,
crazy.
how do y'all maintain everything as a band? You hear in the news this bandmate, fault this one, or they're,
Yeah.
I don't know, just how do you deal with certain issues? Are there ever any problems that come up, and how do you handle them?
Oh yeah, there are problems all the time. You know, all the time. It's we go at it. And sometimes it's one guy with another guy, and then the next tour it's two different guys, and there's personality issues. And when you have, I think what happens is when you lose respect, you're going to have problems, just
Yeah,
like a marriage.
right,
If someone doesn't have respect for you, then there's going to be issues, and you're going to butt heads, and we go through that too.
right,
We did on this last run a couple times.
right.
Over silly things. It's like, and you're just sitting there thinking, God, why is this even happening? What's wrong with you? And why are you saying this? And you're just thinking, this is crazy. But it does happen because you're out there on the road. There's a lot of stuff going on, stress, pressure, traveling, exhaustion, all kinds of things.
Sure.
And then it has an effect on people, and it can cause tensions to rise.
So anybody out there that thinks that Stryper has it made and everything's perfect, right? There's another side
Oh
of this.
gosh. Oh yeah, of course not.
Right.
We don't have it made. We're not perfect. By no means. I mean, trust me. And this is not a threat by no means, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to quit daily.
Yeah.
I literally want to quit daily. I mean, my physical side is done with it. Done with the dealing with the attitudes and dealing with the negative side of touring.
Yeah.
And the 4 a.m. lobby calls, 4 shows in a row, flying from show to show, driving from show to show, lugging gear, three things in each arm, and you just kind of get to a point where you're like, I don't
Yeah.
want to do this anymore.
Right.
But then you realize why you do it. There's a higher calling for Stryper. It's not about sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Right.
And the minute we remind ourselves of that, we realize, yeah, we do want to do this.
And that has to mean that it's burning inside of you really strong. Otherwise, you'd give in, right? I mean, there's got to
Oh,
be
yeah,
something in there.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're human. We get out on the road, we're human. We get into arguments. And like I said, it happened a few times on this last run. And those things go on in our organization. But I think we've gotten pretty good at knowing how to deal with those things
and you don't.
instead of being
Yeah.
being immature about it and fighting and not talking for 2 years,
Oh
and
yeah.
we're breaking up because it's that's where we're a little different. You hear about these bands that just don't get along and they can't get their stuff together,
Yeah.
and this goes on for 40 years, and you're just thinking, wow, how dysfunctional can you be?
Right.
It's not like that, but we do have our problems and hurdles to have to jump and overcome daily.
And I know that different magazines and media outlets love to hear all the negativity about. They want to hear something juicy that maybe you
Oh yeah,
broke a guitar, you know, over somebody.
yeah.
You threw a microphone at some guy. They want to hear all this stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
Right.
sure. And I think what happens with bands like Stryper, because we stand for God and we sing about God. When we do something that's human, they look at us as, see, I told you,
Right.
they're fakes, they're phonies.
But they don't do it for the other guys. They're you're right.
No,
They're
of
they're
course
okay
not.
like they are, but you got to be perfect, doggo.
Of course.
That's just uh. Hey, here's something kind of off subject. I was thinking if you ever, you need to do like a side project, like a solo type thing, like
Yeah.
in disguise, and call yourself Dude Sweet. I'm just saying that way somebody goes, Dude, that's sweet. Okay, I'm sorry. Just I said
Well,
threw that out there.
I've thought and laughed about that so many times. Like, I wonder what if we were to change our name and people didn't know it was Stryper. Would they like the song? Would they get it and have a different opinion of it? And or me as a solo artist, sit it out to radio under a different name. I've that thought's come up, but in a fun way, but we just never have done it.
That is something to think about. And I think a lot of people though they think, oh, it's a Christian band, they're gonna be, and so they don't want to listen to that. But then
Oh yeah,
if you were like in disguise, just regular band, they'd like, I like this stuff. Where
yeah,
they've been all my life. Yeah,
totally. If we were in disguise, there would be no preconceived ideas or notions, and people would just listen without judging.
right. And that's the way it
And
should be anyway, right?
that's the way it should be anyway. But with us, it's not that way. It never will be that way because
That's
we sing about God.
that's it.
You know, there's so many Christians in the world, yet it's the most hated. If you want to call it a religion, it's the most hated religion on the planet,
Right,
Christianity. And I try to figure it out, and not sure why. And I think it's because there's so many hypocrites out there
right.
that give Christianity a bad name. But there isn't any religion.
Yeah, I think it's probably just people's own, you know, misunderstandings and maybe some I don't know, bitterness of their own selves. I don't know. I think they
Exactly.
point fingers at things and try to justify things.
Exactly. That's right.
Um. Well, you in the when's the next time you guys going to be playing?
We head out in 2 weeks to go do the Kiss Cruise.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're doing 2 sets on the Kiss Cruise first week. And then we come back from the Kiss Cruise and we do 2 nights at the Whiskey in
Cool.
Hollywood. And then we come home, and that's when Lisa and I move into our house. And then we go out and I do a solo show here locally at a place called the Spire Center, a Christmas show, the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
And then we go and do a couple festivals in Mexico in December.
Wow.
Big festivals. We're playing with a bunch of different bands, Kiss and Kiss One Night and Megadeth and Judas Priest and Pantera and just a huge list of amazing bands. And we're performing at 2 of those festivals. So we're really, really honored to be able to do that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. And what's a normal night for playing with those guys? I mean, do you hang out afterwards on something like that?
Well, sometimes you get to say hi. You go to the dinner tent, and you see people and get to say hi to people, but usually not really hanging out per se, especially now with the pandemic and COVID and all that stuff. People are a lot more cautious and careful these days, and almost borderline fearful to hang out with one another because you're afraid you're going to give each other COVID.
Yeah, I understand. uh, in this new album though, hitting the stores next week. A positive. How would you rate this album as far as the theme of this album? What would you say it is, and how do fans take it?
Oh man, I think it's just such a powerful album. It's reminding people of the end times, the end of the world. Battle of Armageddon is the ultimate final battle.
Right.
And we're kind of living in those times. And I've expressed that in the press lately, and people laugh at that and think, oh, God, they've
Yeah.
been saying that for years. And I really think we are, though, now because of everything that's going on in the world. And we're certainly at a much higher level than we've ever been before of signs directing us to
Right.
the end times and showing us. But anyway, I think that's what this album is saying, making a statement like get ready, get your lives right, get things in order, be prepared, musically and lyrically. And the music, I think it's our best album.
Yeah.
My favorite album so far to date. When I pop it in, I don't. It might be a song or two. I don't want to say that I skip, but I don't care for as much as some of the others. But I really think the whole album flows great, and every song is great in its own right. And it's a powerful album. I can't wait for people to hear it.
Awesome. And the artwork for the album. Who did all the artwork for the cover? Is really cool.
That's a guy by the name of Stan Decker. Stan Decker, and he's just super super talented guy. And he's done all of our artwork since No More Hell to Pay.
So cool. Yeah. The
Oh yeah,
the artwork, it kind of goes along with the when you're younger, you see an album cover and you're like, that just kind of makes or break the album talking about judging a book by its cover. It's like you see the album, you're like, this album's gonna rock,
Oh
right? Because it
yeah.
looks
Well,
cool, right?
I'll tell you, this album really is. It's special. It's got something special to it, and I can't wait for people to hear it. And I hope they agree. I really do.
Well, based on what I've heard so far, I think they will. And I appreciate you talking to me today. I'm still praying for your dad and everything. And
Thank you, buddy, so much.
yeah,
Really appreciate that. I really do, and I'll keep everyone posted on the internet how things are going. You know.
sure, yeah, and yeah, we'll be praying and hoping for the best and hoping for this new album. Everybody's gonna love it, I'm sure. And thanks so much, man.
Thanks, brother. Look, you have an awesome day. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. God bless you, and we will talk again soon. I'm sure. Hopefully not when we're moving.
That's right. All right, man. Take care. Thank you so much.